Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome to the preview of what is going to be my review slash reaction slash... I'm going to watch it after I do this video. I've been doing this for each episode as it comes out. Now, even though they came out a while ago, and I'm just being stubborn and waiting for more episodes to come out on 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 instead of actually looking it up. Mostly because the other ones don't have tags that I can use. So let's go ahead and skip to it. I'm going to be doing, I believe, episode 5? Yeah, 5 of Redo of a Goddamn Healer. And given that the last episode was relatively not so harmful in certain ways in the scary section, but it was more focused on the revenge murder section, I'm a little bit more okay. So, I'm going to see if I can change that in the next few minutes. So, let's go ahead and cut over to that SpongeBob scene and get to the actual beginning of the episode. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the actual beginning of the video. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, this certain series online where we dive into the macabre, weird, and sexy. That's what we're here for. If you come here for macabre, we do not do that tag. Thanks. But, along with being here, we might as well do some weird shit. Like cover episode 5 of Redo of Healer, because I have a sick sense of humor, and this is pretty funny to me. At the current moment, we, as you can see from the beginning portion of the video, I didn't watch it, and now I'm here to actually watch it. And I gotta say, wasn't that bad. This is a pretty standard anime episode that was just a lot raunchier than it normally is, with, like, references to horrible things that went on, but no actual horrible things. Like, there's maybe a flash or two of something bad going on, but they're usually just the sins of the past of a large country that just don't happen. They didn't take the time to animate a horrible thing like they happened in the first 3 episodes. But nonetheless, I guess we're here to review it. Done by those fuckers over at TNK, running at 24 minutes and 6 seconds in length. Episode 5 of Redo of a Healer starts out with guards discussing the attack that 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾 and Setsuna had done. Well, attack is a hard thing. They were defending a group of people from the kingdom that was going to turn them into slaves. And then they were doing it in front of a mysterious character who either was introduced or wasn't introduced yet. This then cuts over to the anime opening, which having to sit through an anime opening that's not good is it's annoying. Really wishing for that Netflix skip opening button. But nonetheless, it then leads into the girls, Setsuna and Freya, going out into a river and just enjoying the water, in which case 𝐻𝑒𝓃, who I will be referring to as 𝐻𝑒𝓃 because his fake name is fucking stupid and has a syllable in it that doesn't mix together at all, so I'm just going to refer to them by the simpler versions of their names. He gets a little handsy while he's in there. He's like, wow, we're having a fun time. I guess I need to have a fun time as well. And then he does the only thing that he can do outside of torture and murder is sex. Leading to scene number 1, running from 3 minutes in to 5 minutes and 5 seconds. 2 minutes, 5 seconds, you know, not all that bad, but also, this is still, like, it knows that it's being raunchy, and it knows that it's also an anime, not a hentai, so it has to... How can I say it? It just doesn't show anything below the belt. in the front. As long as there's not a hole, as long as you can't see a hole that is below the belt, then it's safe. That's essentially what it does. But moving on, they then head back into town where they meet a drunkard who provokes them by seeing that Setsuna is in fact not fully human and says, "I'll buy her for 1 gold." And then he turns around and says, "Hey, dick, I spent way more than that on her." Because technically she still is his workers that you don't pay. Because I don't want to say the actual word again because I have no idea how that works when it comes to little bots coming by the videos and telling us that we're not allowed to do stuff. I haven't reached that point yet, but better to keep myself safe now. Then he says, "Hey, you're not going to be able to buy her," to which case the drunk guy says, "Fuck you," and then attacks him, and then he gets put on his ass by this really small wolf girl. Well, in which case, Kiaru does some healing bullshit and looks through his mind and finds out that he was part of the raid that happened. He's an old soldier. Tears off his badge and then says, "You can go ahead and kill him." In which case, she does. It was real fast. And then it cuts to them all 3 of them, in the merchant's room, where they had been before when they were selling the potions to be able to, like, heal the people who had gotten sick. Even though, which is kind of a smart idea, because they're going in there to sell the actual potion, but they didn't tell anybody they got rid of the source of the infection. So he goes in there, and the merchant tries to, strong-arm him into it, and he's not having any of that, so he calls his bluff, to which case they get into a pretty tense scenario where they sit down. He says, "Alright, I'm going to tell you how to make the potions to heal everybody, and you pay me 500 gold. And they're like, "That sounds reasonable," and nobody dies. Nice. So he walks out, and he's like, "I made 500 gold, but you sold him something so important for so little." He's like, "Yeah, but they need my blood to do it, so it's not going to work regardless. And people are still going to get healthy. There's no more poison." They're like, "Oh, well, that's smart." And then the white-haired lady from before, who it is revealed to be the Sword Saint. I'm not going to say her other name because Sword Saint sounds a lot cooler. She then attacks them, gets a little cut on him. They go into this typical anime-style fight, of which I kind of want to apply. I kind of want to talk about how he gets the upper hand on her, because this motherfucker just keeps, like, dodging and weaving as they keep going against each other. And then he throws an aphrodisiac at her. Like, you couldn't have thrown poison or anything. You couldn't have thrown, like, anything else. Smoke bomb. Fucking pocket sand at her. But you chose an aphrodisiac. Like, dude, do you have anything in your arsenal that isn't either a mental warfare item or something related to sex? Dude, you know murder is a whole thing you can do. You don't have to torture people, and you don't have to put your dick in stuff. Take a note from one of the best guys in Castlevania. Just because you either kill it or fuck it, and whatever you don't fuck, you turn into a boat. Turning stuff into a boat is a very good idea, and I would highly recommend more people do it. Imagine fighting a horde of people, and then they come back, and then you've glued them all together, and now it's a boat. I really like Castlevania, and I was thinking about it through most of this, because Castlevania did torture better than this, and I really just want more Castlevania. Tangent aside, after fighting her, she gets the upper hand after, like, stabbing herself and, like, "You can't poison me." She gets a little bit better. She does the whole, like, quick flash thing where she cuts off his hand, and he's like, "I was expecting that. Deus Ex, fuck you." And his hand regrows, catches her in the face, Ace shows her all of the memories of, like, fucked up shit that they've been doing, and she passes out right there. She then wakes up in his room, as you do, because there's no better place to hide the body of a person you just beat in a fight in your room. And she also had her clothes changed because you're a fucking pervert. After doing that, he then moves her up. She wakes up, and when she wakes up, he says, "Hey, here's what's been going on," and tries to explain how fucked up the kingdom is. In which case, he doesn't lie. He pretty much tells the truth throughout the entire thing, all the way up until beforehand he had told Freya to pretend to be the princess, even though she is, and just act out being on his side instead of what she actually is, brainwashed. It then, moves on to like, "Oh, you've convinced me. Oh, thank you. I know I'm such a good guy. Also, change his face, I'm the guy who healed you when you first showed up. So, like, I know you owe me one." And she's like, "I know I owe you one." And she gets pretty down and dirty immediately. Scene 2 runs from 20 minutes and 35 seconds to 20 minutes to 22 minutes. With the bleeding trope, because some people refuse to learn how a female hymen works, and instead they're just going to go with the dick inside, and then blood. This isn't Mortal Kombat. Literally, just go to a biology course. They'll figure this out. And I think it's a weird thing to be a part of. It's also revealed that in order to get her as horny as she did for that scene itself, he did drug her again with more aphrodisiacs. So he was almost a good person. And then he was a dick. And then after their whole scene with, like, the two main girls hiding outside, listening to them getting it on the whole time, it then cuts over to a group of people holding a whole bunch of unpaid workers as they walk across the country, and a deep voice says, "I'm coming for you, 𝐻𝑒𝓃𝓉𝒶𝒾." And then it's the guard from the first few episodes that had his face changed to look like 𝐻𝑒𝓃, and he has a whole bunch wrapped up in one eye. In which case, the episode ends. So, what is my thoughts on this series? We're not going to be going into it because, like I said in the last few episodes that I've done in this series, they're pretty much the same, and they're following a story, and they have a similar budget with each one. I will say this has had the best scenes in it, and plot of the whole thing. It's had the best. Mostly because none of it is morally reprehensible, unless you count the second scene, in which case he gives her an aphrodisiac without her knowing. That's a little bit messed up if you think about it on a moral scale, but she thinks it's her own will the same way all the other characters do. Personally, I had my hands out of my pants the whole time. I was just focusing on the story. Would I recommend this as something you watch at the end of a Saturday night when you're really lonely and your girlfriend doesn't want to come over? No, I wouldn't. I would recommend this as you watch past it as it is a show. That is meant to be watched as a whole. Would I recommend this as an anime in general? Probably not. Unless you're a dick and you really just like that mean-spiritedness of the entire thing. I myself, not super into it, but I like where the story is going because I want to see the bad people get what's coming to them at some point. So, I will be continuing the series until it does end, even though they just announced that a Season 2 is possible, and I really have mixed feelings about that, because these videos do pretty well, but then I don't do very well after watching them. So, as I said in my last video, fuck! Alright, I think that's going to do it for this episode. As always, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being here. It fluctuated a little bit yesterday where it went from like 52 to 53 to 56 to 55. And at the moment, after checking it, we were at 55 subscribers, and I would thank each and every one of you personally. If you were all lined up, I would walk down the row and give you a handshake, each and every one of you. But, as I can't, because first of all, that would be super hard to do. Second, that would be incredibly unsanitary. And third, I don't have that much money for plane tickets. So, yeah. Thank you all for being here, even though most of you probably won't see this. I appreciate the hell out of you, and have a nice day. Don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I have been the doctor, and to all my patients, peace.